We're looking at the engine of a it's a 98 Toyota Corolla, and the problem this car had was that it wouldn't start, and the reason it wouldn't start is because the engine was flooded. Of course, flooding happens sometimes for various reasons. On this particular car, though, the reason that the engine flooded, I believe, is because the engine had the wrong spark plugs. Now, sometimes when spark plugs can kind of lead to flooding in some instances. And for example, if the spark plugs are really worn out, you can have flooding. In this case, somebody had put the wrong spark plugs in this car. So what we have here is this is the spark plug that was in there, and this is just a regular resistor Bosch spark plug. Now this car, of course, being a Toyota, does not come with Bosch spark plugs from the factory, and honestly there's never a reason to put a Bosch spark plug in a Toyota. In fact, there's not very many cars out there that I would put a Bosch spark plug in anymore. Not very many. I can't think of any manufacturers that use them from the factory. They used to. There used to be some Europeans that did. But let me show you. We've got some genuine Toyota spark plugs that we obtained from the dealership. And I'm going to pull this plug out and show you the difference between the factory plug and this aftermarket plug. Okay. So you'll notice on the Toyota factory spark plug, it's got two ground electrodes. So the center electrode is really tall, and the two ground electrodes come at it from the side. Okay, this is something that Toyota did a lot back in the late 90s. And it's very important that when you replace spark plugs on one of these cars that you use the two ground electrodes, or the spark plugs might not fire properly at startup or even at other times. The ignition system is designed for this plug. The engine is designed for this plug. This is the plug that you should have. Now, being a Toyota, it's a Denso spark plug, so there's nothing really special about it. You could potentially obtain these at a regular auto parts store and not necessarily have to go to the dealership. But quite often when you go to a regular auto parts store, they want to sell you just a regular spark plug. Okay. Toyota is so adamant about making sure that you put the right spark plug in these cars that you always see under the hood, you always see a label kind of like this one here, which says use twin ground electrode plug. Okay. They do not want you using a regular spark plug, and they even show a picture of it. Do not use that spark plug. So we are going to put the proper spark plugs in this car, and then we shouldn't have any more issues with ignition. Everything else ought to work just fine.